All right, 7 o'clock, we're calling to order. Roll call, please.
Arnold,
Here.
Beckwith.
Here.
Farcapisi, absent. Flores.
Here.
Cotsinis.
Here.
Hamilton.
Here.
Sutton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mission statement. To enrich, empower, and enlighten the people of the Warren Newport Public Library District. Where's that page? What? 701.
Thank you.
Do we have any public that wants to make public comment?
Andrea, I signed with those two on the top. I'm not sure if the one has a typo and the other one, I don't get the map.
Seeing no one? Do we have any memorandum?
No, we don't have it.
Consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
I did have a question, sorry. Since I was absent, am I allowed to vote on everything? Or that would have already been?
I think we put everything that you were not here for in the new business.
Okay, just confirm.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. All right, nothing has been moved. President's reports on page 14. Any questions? If not, reports from other trustees.
I have a report. I had the privilege of touring the, not an official tour, just me and my son, the Milwaukee Public Library, the big building, historic landmark.
Cool.
Just absolutely amazing, and, you know, we thought we'd go in for half an hour, we were there for 4 hours. So much to see. The children's room was amazing. They had old maps of the cities from the 1800s. We found his like apartment and what things used to be, and then we went to one of the satellite libraries, and they've got like 30 libraries in all these different little neighborhoods. It was really just an amazing place. You know, I love libraries, but it was fun to see what they were doing, and they had an event, Library Out Loud, where kids were able to come in the evening and scream and yell and make as much noise as they wanted in the library.
Oh my God.
So that sounded like fun, and they have a really big friends group and a huge endowment and all of that. But it was definitely a fun trip.
Cool. Great. I'm pulling up the date to confirm, but the Waukegan Library, their Friends, is having library after hours on April 20th. In case anyone's interested, I can send more of that info, but also figured maybe, you know, I know at nonprofits, we go and check out other, other events and other galas.
When is it?
April 20th.
I think they're raising funds for their makerspace as well.
Yes, they are.
That was my first job.
That was my first library.
Well, it was my first library too, but it was my first job as a librarian.
All right. Executive Director's Report, page 15.
I think a couple things I want to highlight. The library things, March 1st rollout was, I think we talked about the committee of the whole. It was very successful. That's been very popular so far. The thing I want to point out is the Friends entered this relationship with this BSN Books, and it's basically it's two women entrepreneurs that saw a need locally for helping out libraries and selling their books online. So they approached the Friends, and they've entered this agreement where books that the friends know they can't sell in bookends that they can scan, and they'll try to sell those materials online. And so far, it's been really successful. So they've been able to sell. I think there was like a stamps reference book, and I think they were able to get, I don't know, it was $150 or something like that. When we would have never been able to resell that in bookends or the book sale.
Oh, no.
So that's something that we as a staff we identified a long time ago that would be nice if the friends could be savvy enough to go online and sell, but they just don't have the expertise. So this is really a win-win. So it helps out the BSN books and it helps out the friends. So far they've been delighted with the arrangement. So I just wanted to point that out. So that was a good.
The friends don't get any proceeds from what they sell, it's just that it helps them get rid of some excess.
No, what they do is
they
it's
get
50-50.
Oh, it is?
Minus
Oh.
any like shipping costs or anything like that.
Okay, that's
So if they
awesome.
sell a book for $150 online,
Sure.
the friends get, minus shipping costs, they get half of whatever.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
So it really is
Okay,
win-win.
good for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it makes a lot of sense. So everyone's happy with that.
Remind me again what Valentine's for Vets is. That's annual, correct?
Is it annual? Have we done that annually?
Yes, we've done it for about 4 years.
Yeah.
So we have stations throughout the library. They've done it, I think they started in youth, but then it was so successful, they've taken it everywhere. So in the lobby at Adult Services, and then we are working with, this year they worked with the veterans group at CLC and delivered those items to that organization, and they shared some pictures with us, and they shared some testimonials, and it was so heartwarming. It was a really, really nice outreach this year. Mhm.
Very nice.
I also wondered what Love Your Library was.
Oh, well, Love Your Library is kind of, I don't want to say a spin-off of the birthday party we had last year, but I think it's safe to say it was inspired by it. So it's a big celebration at the library Saturday the 27th. We're going to have a Roman magician and all kinds of activities. Party for all ages. So
For National Library Week.
yeah.
Cool. How's the new vehicle wrap coming on the new vehicle?
I think I don't know if it's been slow, but I know it's in progress. I don't have I can have an update committee of the whole, because it does seem like it's taking a while. I know it took a while to get, we reached out to a bunch of vendors to get quotes. That was a slow process. So I think it's in process, but I don't know exactly. So we can talk about it in the whole. Or I can send an email to the board, I'll get the information.
I wanted to know what the Angazi Foundation was, where we donated
Oh.
the laptops, what's that?
Yeah, so that is a local nonprofit, and what they do is they take the old technology and they send it to schools in Africa. I don't know the exact countries, but essentially it's tech that we can't use that otherwise we'd be recycling,
Wow,
and
that's awesome.
it gets reused. So it's a
That's
good cause. And they're
terrific.
a local charity, so
Mhm.
it was a good use, because
Yeah.
before it would have been something we would have repurposed or recycled. So.
All right, any other questions about the director's report? Now, let's move on to old business. Automated materials handling system.
All right, we're finally here. Hopefully the board will award the contract to Linso System. So, I didn't want to get too detailed with the board, but I wanted to provide you an overview of the process. Hopefully the memo on page 26 covers it. So just as a recap, in December, we put out a request for proposals, and we reached out to, we obviously publicly posted it, but we knew the vendors that were in this marketplace, so we reached out to them all individually. I think maybe it was 9 or 10 in total, and the vendors that didn't reply, one of them got back to me and said they don't handle, we only do 6-bin sorters and that type of thing, because some of them just do very small versions of this. So we got back 6 proposals, so we evaluated those on the 4 criteria. The main one, which was 40% of the criteria, was the cost. But one of the things I learned during this process is I going into this, admittedly, I kind of looked at all these things as a commodity. I'm like, oh, you know, these sorters are all going to be the same. Not true. There's a lot of different features. Also, you know, some vendors have a better reputation in terms of support. So the next criteria was the equipment quality and features. Does it do what we want it to do? Then lesser criteria included the vendor experience, and all these vendors are experienced vendors. Some more than others, though. And then the responsiveness of the written proposal. Did they answer our questions? Did they give us the information we wanted? So, as the board knows, when we had our meeting, we realized, okay, we asked for a 13 bin. We got a lot of responses back, and really we identified, being longer in CCS and seeing other libraries, that 9 bins was appropriate. So we went back to all of the vendors and said, hey, you know, can you revise your proposal and focus on a 9 bin? And that was fruitful because that did bring down the cost for a lot of those proposals. So on page 28, you can see in the last column the scoring. When we applied the scoring, we were left with 3 finalists. In the initial round, FE Technologies was the highest with 9.5. Lingso was second highest with 8.6, and then Envisionware 8.4. The other vendors, you know, although MK Solutions was cheaper, the cheapest of the bunch, there was a reason for that. They didn't have some of the, you know, functionality that we were seeking. TechLogic, it was pricing primarily that kicked them out of it. And then Biblioteca, our current vendor, there were features they didn't have. There were some challenges with their proposal, including needing to cut a hole in the head of circulation's office for servicing the induction. So, and they're a current vendor, and we've had issues with service. It's gone downhill quite a bit over the past several years. So, in any event, we took the 3 finalists, and we did, you know, we talked to current customers. We did field trips to these sites locally that have these systems. We had some questions for the vendors. We talked to our technology vendor that we work with, OSG, because they have experience with these vendors. And we applied the evaluation categories in Table 2, and you can see how we weighed the scoring. And after that, our clear choice was Linso. They provide, really they were tops with everything in terms of the functionality, in terms of service. OSG said they have good experiences, as did their customers working with them. Even though FE came into the second round, so to speak, as the highest score, when we dug deeper and looked at their install, their system just wasn't as good. It didn't offer the same functionality. The other challenge with FE, not that this is reflected in the scoring, but there's only a few installs in the United States. They're really big in Europe, and they're trying to get a foothold in North America. So, but in any event, it was clear after we applied the scoring that Lingso was our recommendation to the board. So, any questions about the process? I have the Lingso response if anyone would like to see it. It's lengthy, but I brought it with me in case you'd like to look at it.
What is induction in this context?
Induction would be the way the system accepts materials. So when you think about induction, our induction point is the return, the patron return. Yeah, and that works differently at different systems. There are some that will give you an error message, and some will return your items. There are various ways they work.
Will any of these work roughly the way we have now, or are all of these going to require some rework of that customer door?
It won't require any like building modifications, if that's what you're asking. They should be able to repurpose the induction area.
Okay.
I mean, there may be maybe slight modifications, but no, we're not going to have to blow a hole in the lobby or anything like
Okay.
that, if that's what you're asking.
That's what I'm asking.
And what's nice about all these systems is they take a smaller footprint than our current system. I mean, all of them were much smaller. So,
Does anyone close by have Lingso?
yeah, Lingso is installed at ELA. It's installed at Wakanda. We have a number of local customers.
No.
What's that?
I was just
She
wondering if that
thought
was
you were
in there.
reading it from.
No, it's, yeah,
So we could go on a field trip and see.
you could. And another big thing too, I will mention with Wingso, and Invisual was the same way. Not only do staff like those systems, but patrons like those systems. At the FE Technologies install that we went to, a staff member indicated that patrons complain all the time about the FE system, about the way it works. So that's not what you want to hear.
What part do the patrons,
That's what I was
faces
just
the
wondering.
patrons?
I think it had to do with the fact that I think one of the complaints was that the system of the screen, one of the complaints was it uses different terminology. Maybe that could be reprogrammed, but since it's a European company, I think they have some of the European technology that was confusing to an American patron. So
Yeah.
among other things, I think there was also issues with induction working properly. So. So we want something that's going to work, and it should be like it's a automated system. It should ideally you want patrons to just have a very seamless experience and not be frustrated. So. And if you look at pricing too, of the three finalists, in terms of initial cost, Linso's a little bit more expensive, $7,000, and the maintenance is more expensive, but once again, sometimes you get what you pay for, because the feedback on the maintenance was that you get really great support. Also, in terms of upkeep, it's easy to maintain the system. The staff just have to clean it, and nothing crazy in terms of having to. I think our current system, you've got to add oil and all kinds of weird stuff to it. So.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? If not, I'll go ahead and make the motion. That the board awards the automated materials handling system contract to Lingzo Systems as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call please.
Parkapisi,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Flores,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Arnold,
Aye.
Cotsini.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right, staff recognition program, page 29.
All right, so what you have in front of you in terms of the staff recognition program, that I think the board knows that this is something that the Recruitment Retention Committee has been working on for a while now. And what our approach to this, back in I think it was the fall or late summer, we did a staff survey to ask staff their feedback about the board's desire to put a program in place to recognize work smarter, not harder. Also, it was a chance for us to look at other staff recognition programs that I'm not sure that the board has even seen. I've got the old version of this, but we have service awards, how we recognize service, or longevity is another way companies call it or organizations call it, and then retirement recognition. And we hadn't looked at that for a long time, and so we received feedback from the staff, and based on the feedback and discussions, this is what we developed in terms of service awards. What we did is we updated the service awards or longevity awards to be a little more modern, a little more generous. You might look at these if you're coming from the corporate world and maybe think that that's not terribly generous, but we are a public library. I'm sure if the board advocated to raise those longevity awards, the staff would not complain. But we thought that was realistic and in line with what other libraries were doing. Another thing that came up during the surveys is that some staff would maybe prefer to receive paid time as opposed to a cash award. For example, maybe someone that was here for 5 years, they don't have a lot of vacation time built up, so that was an option, although that administratively would provide some challenges, and I think that might require a look at policies. I didn't want to go too far down that road, though, before I brought this up with the board to see what the board thought about that, if that's something the board wanted to entertain in terms of adding paid time to longevity or not. So that's one thing I wanted to talk to the board about tonight.
Would it be like hours? So instead of 50, it'd be 4 hours, something like that?
Yeah, like one floating holiday would be if it was prorated. So for let's say it's a full-time staff, that would be 7.5 hours or a full day of work.
Oh, or paid.
Yeah.
And that would be awarded no matter what the service the years
Well-
of service, or,
Well, the initial thinking by the committee was it could be cash or paid time, but then we had a discussion with the management team and talking to staff as we fleshed it out. Staff, no surprise, would like to have both ideally, but I don't know how realistic that is.
right,
The way it's presented, I think, was a either or. So I don't, like I said, I don't, and this wouldn't be the norm, but, you know, I think when we look at these recognition program guidelines, you know, and not only do we want to recognize staff for doing great work with these various guidelines or, you know, or longevity, service, but also retention, right? What does that help us with retention if we're able to say to staff, hey, you know, if you're here for so long, not only do we recognize your service with this cash award, but also you are entitled to this time.
So it would be 1 day for every 5 years worked. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Or cash.
Well, the way it's presented here would be someone is here for 5 years, the cash award is $50, or one floating holiday. Or if you wanted to do it another way, $50 and a floating holiday.
And then they wouldn't get another award till 5 more years, $100, 1 day.
Yeah, and
Doesn't seem like that.
well, the old recognition guidelines, but in context, like so, 5 years was $30, 10 years was $50, and I don't know when this was. It says revised internally May 2017, but I don't know when I guess I was part of looking at this in 2017. I don't know that we changed the numbers. Once again, we're trying to be respectful of taxpayer dollars and.
right.
You know, I would agree on the surface, it doesn't seem like a very generous award, but we are a
No,
taxing
Right.
body.
yeah.
So are the cash awards grossed up, or then taxes taken out?
I believe taxes are taken out.
Oh,
The annual holiday bonus, year-end,
That's
calendar year-end is, they get $50.
Oh, so.
It
And
is-
we pay the tax.
so
both
it's
sides.
grossed up, so
Yeah,
that,
so.
yeah,
for
but
that,
would
not for
these,
these other
but not
ones.
for these?
Yeah.
So they're paying.
Yeah, that was gonna be a question I had, how much it would cost us to pay the taxes.
I mean,
I don't know, I don't do math like that.
but we could, I mean, I could.
Because I knew we did it
Payroll
for.
taxes are 15.3%, so grossed up, you know, we take it and divide it by 1.153%.
And then my follow-up was just like, how many people do we have at these benchmarks, right? Like, do we need a 3-year, I don't know how revolving the door libraries are right now.
Well, I will say since, especially since COVID, the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, we've had a lot of turnover. We've had a lot of retirements. I mean, look at youth services. We had, I don't know, the past 5 years, we had staff with decades of 3 staff with Janet and Patty and Joanne, Vicky. Oh my gosh, yeah. So if you look at each department, there are examples of people with decades of experience that have retired. So we have a lot of new staff. Yeah. I mean, I can come back to the board with exact numbers if you want to. I'm just giving you anecdotal information, though. We could give you a report of what the breakdown is like.
I don't think you
No.
need to.
I don't think we need it.
No.
And then the other question I had, have you ever approached a family foundation to be the donor for this?
No, we have not.
Because at Mono, so our end of year, depends on how many years you've been with the organization, and it's a gift card, but it's a family foundation that pays for that. And we have about 40 staff. I know that you guys have 40 full-time and I think 40 part-time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a little more than that, but
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I never thought of that.
So are you still trying to decide about the cash and the paid time, or are you feeling, is the management team feeling pretty okay about either or?
I think the management team, I would advocate both.
Yeah, absolutely, they would.
I
Yeah.
like it. Kind of-
So cash and paid
And
time off.
I totally think,
I agree.
I think that's fair.
I have to agree with that.
Yeah,
Makes a lot more
I
sense.
mean,
It doesn't seem, yeah.
yeah.
Doesn't seem like
I
a
mean,
big thing.
particularly if we wanted to encourage people to retain staff,
Yeah,
Small price.
yeah.
right. Okay, great.
Go for it.
Thanks for sharing.
Sure. So then moving on to retirement recognition, I want to clarify something. I think we'll change this. It says something about the second paragraph into the first sentence, in taxable cash reward in the amount of the most recent longevity award. I think it should read most recent service award. So it's clear that you would go back to the first table.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Wait, where are you at?
I just went to page 31, retirement
Yeah,
recognition.
I get it, but I.
The
Second
second
paragraph.
second paragraph at the end of the
Oh, I
sentence.
see, got it, right there.
And is this a policy?
Well, these have
Not
always,
yet.
yeah, well, these have always been, like internal
Guidelines.
procedures.
Like part of the handbook?
I mean, we could make it a policy, but it's an
Like a
internal.
staff policy?
Well, it's.
Well, it's always
just
been
procedure.
it's never been a policy, it's always been a procedure.
What is the difference?
We don't write one.
We don't, did you say, George? We don't what?
We don't write one of them.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the norm is, when we look, that it's typically it is an internal procedure that libraries have. So you're not gonna go on libraries' websites typically and see, I can't say that's always the case. So I think that's probably why it's always been a procedure, not a board policy.
No, not board, staff. I'm not saying a board policy, a staff
Staff
policy.
policy, but still, staff policies still come before the board, and
Yeah, but they're not posted on the external.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because we approved like people dressing business casual, so why would, I think it gives it more weight if it's a staff policy.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
And then it's something we look at and then we can update it.
Change it as every 3 years or whatever.
It's like more,
At least some of these.
Formal.
it's
So like a
rotating
staff
and
recognition policy.
Yes.
watching. Uh-huh.
Okay. Sounds good, George.
Make it so.
Add this to the agenda for committee of the
All
whole.
right, and then, and just one more thing about retirement recognition. This was very convoluted in the old, procedure, so we just tried to clean this up a little bit, and also be respectful of different staff and what they want, what they don't want, because not everyone wants a big
That's right.
reception, so we'll respect that.
So one thing I wasn't entirely clear on was if the retiree decides not to have a celebration, that the funds for that don't go to the retiree, right?
Yes,
It wasn't entirely clear, I think.
yeah,
They don't get the money for the party.
Right.
right.
You get the
Just goes
party
back in
or-
the-
Yeah, so you can have a party and all those other things,
the
or
other
just
thing.
those other things.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So it's,
I mean,
I help people who
that's
don't like
not
to be
uncommon,
everyone.
that's the way it's handled, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure I had it
Yeah.
straight.
Yeah. And the other thing we have let retiring staff do is decide, do they just want to have a department celebration or a library-wide celebration? Because some staff that just work in a department and maybe they just want their department. And oftentimes what will happen is a department celebration, they'll invite other people from other departments, so. And then recognizing colleagues, and this is something I think I want to discuss, because the goal of, the board goal for me was develop a recognition program to recognize staff that exemplify work smarter, not harder. And that was the goal going in. So when we asked in the survey, we got a little bit of feedback, but then talking with the committee and others on staff, and Rebecca might have a few words, like, we feel a couple of things. Number one, that I truly feel that since we started that mantra, it's been embraced in our culture. I mean, if you look at a lot of things we've done recently with the committee structure, for example, that's working smarter, not harder. I think when we talk about the budgeting process, you've heard a lot of examples of working smarter, not harder. So I think it's part of our culture, and I think there are some staff that are just kind of tired of hearing it, is what I've been told. So this is not my opinion, this is staff's opinion. So I told Rebecca, you gotta back me up on this, because it's coming from me. So the recognition that we do right now is and that we've been doing this for a while, so the WNPL shout outs in the weekly update, which has been very popular, and it seems like it's been a sustained success. The different recognition programs we've had to recognize staff historically they fizzled out after time, and I think a big reason for that is that it wasn't even, because if you were public service staff, you might get recognized because, oh, I saw so-and-so up in a patron and doing this and doing that. Meanwhile, the poor people in tech services who do amazing work, they just don't get recognized for it because it's behind the scenes. So that's the thinking here with this recommendation. Obviously, the board may feel differently, but I wanted to give the board that feedback, and that's why it's presented as so.
I think the reason why this one is so successful is because it's not top-down either. It's really meant for everyone to be engaged. And so we're seeing shout-outs coming from every department. And sometimes it's managers, but I would say the majority are just from colleagues to each other.
Right, and
Those
I
are
mean, I
very
think it should be what the staff wants, and
I
if this is
agree.
what they want,
Just, and if they
That's what they
appreciate
should
this
have.
part, let's do it.
yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
There's no monetary recognition for a shout out, it's just an attaboy. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Essentially, yes, yes.
Sometimes those are just as effective.
And we do, so if you fill out a form, the staff member fills out a form, it goes into like a Microsoft backend Excel document. And then either Ryan and I send out a weekly update at the end of the week, and we have a section where we always include the shout outs, so people know that it's gonna be going out as an all-staff email as well.
Nice.
And what really is great about it too is that it is really from shelvers to, administration, everyone in between, people recognizing colleagues. And also it is not just public service staff dominant, it's, everybody gets recognized, so.
Any other questions on the staff recognition?
So we'll bring this back, committee of the whole, as a policy.
As a
Yes.
staff policy that we will then adopt.
Okay.
Especially when you start talking about things like adding days off, we want to make sure. that-
Absolutely, yeah,
Exactly.
agreed.
All right. New business. Approval of secretary reports. This is what you were mentioning earlier, Celeste. I know you weren't there for a couple of our earlier meetings. So, do we have a motion to approve the secretary reports on page 32?
So moved.
A second.
All right, we'll have to do a roll call for this one.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Arnold,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Sutton,
Abstain.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Flores,
Abstain.
Kotsinis.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
All right. Likewise for reports of standing committees. Do we have a motion?
I move the reports of the Committee of the Whole, March 5th, 2024 be approved as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, roll call for this one as well.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Sutton,
Abstain?
Arnold,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Aye.
Flores, Kotsinis.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
We did it.
All right.
Hardest part of the meeting.
Page 40 in your packets. This is the quarterly evaluation of goals.
I've never heard of the first one.
Yeah, we just talked about the first one. So yeah, two formal goals, the staff recognition rollout program, and then formalize our strategic marketing plan. So our approach to this is to, basically it's a team of three of us initially. It's myself, Rebecca, and Sandy, and we're in our third revision, so we've started meeting to come up with a draft that we will then take to the marketing committee, which consists of everyone in communications in addition to a couple of other staff members. I think it's Jessica, who's head of youth, and is Kathy?
Kathy,
Yeah.
Maria.
Yeah, so we're expanding it then to that group. We'll continue to work on it, go to management team for further feedback. Then the idea is to bring to the board no later than June, and hopefully it can get adopted then. So it's we're moving aggressively on this plan because we want to get it in place, and we realize that there's it really is needed in terms of charting the direction of well, marketing initiatives and some budget considerations as well. So that's where we're at right now. Does the board have any questions about that, or?
Is it, so the first one's done. Can we add like a percentage done next time?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's no problem. That's fine.
How do we
Subjective
know if we're?
percentage.
I'm hoping we'll be at
99% 99% for the first one.
Marketing plan, yeah.
Achieved expectations.
All right, so we're targeting June for the strategic marketing plan.
That's correct.
And we're so far on target for June.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, we want to get this done.
Yeah.
We're committed. You know, because if you think about it, like, one of the other strategic plan goals is the website. You know,
Yes.
we're gonna have that, you know, an idea in October, so this is gonna, obviously, you know, could inform some decisions with the website. So, you know, there's a lot of, like, this really is pivotal, to connect a lot of things we have going on. So, no, we're moving quickly. We've been meeting weekly since Sandy's been back to get this done, so.
Excellent.
All right. Potentially actionable items. Anything that you don't see that we need to add? We already talked about adding one personnel policy.
Yeah.
Can I ask, is the decennial committee, that is supposed to be our last meeting with the final draft, correct?
I hope so, Joe. Yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan, so.
Should we do something nice for our citizen participants? If so,
Good
what would it
idea.
be?
Private tour.
I'm happy to do a private tour. That's fine.
Wasn't what I was
They would honestly both really enjoy it.
I like it, I think.
They
you know,
would really
I
enjoy it.
remember my first back of the house
That's
tour.
pretty
I was-
cool, yeah.
I was so excited.
All right,
I had no
well,
idea how big it was back there.
I mean, I see, do you guys ever order extra t-shirts? I don't know, I'm just saying that there's t-shirts, right? Like, to Joe's point, not something that they can take.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But it will be until the t-shirts are gonna be
Not,
It's gonna be for the summer,
for
but you know what?
summer, so
Yeah, but
it doesn't matter.
They'll appreciate it.
We have some other opportunities for shirts too coming up. So we
Yeah.
are gonna be ordering some shirts for Love Your Library.
Oh,
So it's gonna
that
be
might be it.
cute.
Yeah,
that's
and
a
they're
good one.
adorable. It's a beautiful design from our communications team.
that might be a
Mhm.
nice one for
So we're going
serving.
to get some for staff ahead of
That's a
time, but
nice
then we're
one.
gonna make them available for people to go on a link at the event.
Oh, I like
So
that.
that way you can personalize sizes and so on. So we could maybe do that for that.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
Hold on one.
I still think if you offered the tour, they would well take it.
I'll offer them a tour. I will gladly offer them a
I think
tour.
that's also a good-
So they won't be done for the April meeting, right?
What, the Love Your Library t-shirt?
Yeah.
you mean? No. I don't think so.
No, they will not.
No.
So I'll have to
that
ask
much.
them.
Yeah,
How-
is that something
how-
that, like, we could look at our PR budget and see, if we've got money for the board for I Love Your Library t-shirts, because it sounded like the board
Oh, yeah.
sounded excited
Yes.
about that.
I mean, I'm happy to pay for it.
Same.
I'll pitch in, yeah.
Yeah, that would be, yeah.
Well, so maybe we got your t-shirt sizes tonight, so we can order Love Your Library t-shirts.
Perfect, okay.
Yeah,
What size do you
that'd be
need?
great.
So hopefully Rory can attend that event, because it's gonna be a really lovely event, if you're free the
What's the
27th.
Or, I don't know, like, you know, obviously like what you gave us when we first joined, like if you had like a little
Yes.
packet thing, like,
Yeah,
I think I got like
a swag bag. right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the April regular meeting will be the last of the decennial.
Yes.
Right.
yeah, really,
Committee,
really, I think the
right?
decennial, I'm sorry, to interrupt. The actual last meeting of the decennial committee, I believe, will be
Yes,
April 2nd, the committee of the whole, and then the
Oh,
idea is
okay.
the board will formally adopt or approve
Oh,
at the regular
okay.
meeting. Now, we could certainly invite Ed and Mike to that April meeting if we wanted to, or if they
Oh,
wanted to
because I
attend.
was gonna say, I'll bake.
Can we
Yeah.
pass a resolution thanking them for their service?
Mhm.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Good idea.
Two- the two gentlemen,
Although if their last meeting with us is at committee of the whole, I guess we could show it to them, but we can't really.
Well, we can invite them to come.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, we can't
Mike's here often anyway.
Yeah, that's
You can
true.
always mail it to them too.
Yeah.
True.
Ed literally
Somebody's
lives
gotta
down
write
the
it.
street. He's on O play, like off O play.
George, you
go to his
gonna write
house.
it? Who's gonna write it?
Oh. Actually, I think Joe should write it
Yeah, I
because
was
this is for
gonna
the
say Joe
decennial
said.
committee.
Okay.
That's smoothness.
I don't know if this is appropriate to add, or Ryan, or not in this spot, but the training days,
Oh, yes, it is.
okay,
Yeah.
so in May and then November?
Yeah, it's probably something that should have gone on the
Is that
agenda.
training?
Well, I guess we've got time. So we want to, and actually, I think what we were thinking about changing, even though we looked at the holiday policy, we put this in the holiday
Yes.
policy.
Mhm.
So the board, historically, we've come to the board and it's the fall, training day, like it's closing for all staff development day. So we thought, why don't we set on the same day every year and put it in policy, and that way we don't have to go to the board every year. We know it's consistent. I will take some time, but then our patrons will learn over time that, oh, the library's closed that day because they're closed for staff
Like
development day.
the
Like that.
third Tuesday of every, like, you know, this,
Yeah,
not
'cause
the
Like
same
Thanksgiving.
date, but the
Yeah.
same, you know, the second Thursday in September, whatever.
Or then
not a
like the
particular
2nd of
date.
September.
Yeah, because didn't we decide it was going to be in
Thursday.
Thursday?
In November.
A Thursday.
Yeah, well, you can't pick a day, because,
Right, so.
Yeah, I think
it'll
that's
always be
what
Day
we
would
Yes.
be.
Yeah.
That's what Andrew was
Right,
asking.
something like that.
And,
Yeah.
and so, and then the other date we want to identify is a half day in May, and that would be for emergency drills. So probably in the morning, because it's like maybe we look at stats. I think Thursday mornings historically, let's say it's, I don't know, I always figure it out, but like we open at 1 o'clock or something. And that would be for us to do drills. So
What about the
active shooter.
first Tuesday of the month, because that's when the alarm goes,
At 10 a.m.
in the
Yeah,
ten
we can-
AM alarm.
Yeah, we can look
when it
at
happens.
numbers. I'm just trying to think of looking at the numbers, like when are we, like what morning is slowest? I think it's Thursdays, but
I think it tends to be too.
yeah, so that's why I say Thursdays.
Then
Doesn't have to be,
Thursday. Then Thursday, the slowest day, yeah.
yeah. So
And then you go somewhere, right? Typically, or do it off-site?
we usually do it here,
Oh,
staff
okay.
development day, yeah.
I was just thinking if you picked a day, then that sort of limits, if you're trying to go off-site, if they're available or not available.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's too limiting to put it in as policy.
But if they're doing emergency training, they kind of need to do that
Be
here.
here.
Yeah, I was talking about, maybe more about the full day.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you talked about it being off-site once, maybe that was something else.
No, you have good memory. It was WNPL leadership team retreat.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
we have done that offsite.
Do
So
we
that's-
know, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Do you know the topic of this year's fall training?
I think did we elect it in?
I think so, I think we're talking about doing that, poverty,
Oh, that's right, yeah.
I'm blanking on the language.
It's a poverty simulation,
Yes,
essentially.
basically. So I was involved with it before COVID. I think District 50 did it, and they invited community members to be part of it. And then our outreach and community engagement team recently did an outreach event, and we think it would be phenomenal for our
What
kids.
is it?
So you take a group and basically simulate 24 hours in the life of people who are struggling. And there are certain things that you have to do. So you have to, get your kids to childcare. You have to get to work. You need to utilize transportation in some ways. And then there are, a variety of things that happen. And so you've got people who are kind of the facilitators who are in charge of childcare. They're handling bus passes, and then people have to get to their variety of places, and then things come up at all of these. So your bus is late, your paperwork fell in the water, and like as things
So
compound.
they're simulating, they're not actually
Correct.
taking them.
But so when I did it with, I think it was District 50, it was with the educators, and they did the program, and then at the end of the day, they did like an after action. And there were so many teachers who were in tears because they were like, I'd never realized how my students struggle and all of the things that are happening to, them potentially before they come into my classroom. And it's just such a wonderful, empathetic experience.
I remember quite clearly, I was a junior in high school, and the math teacher gave us time to study in class. and I put my head down to take a nap. And she said, you need to study. And I gave her a smart answer saying I don't need to study till college. I was really tired. I mean, I got off of work at school at 2:30, and then I would go to Sears and work till 9 o'clock at night. And then I had to come home and do the dishes for 6 people with my father yelling at me because he was drunk. And go to bed and get up and do it again the next day and the next day and the next day. And this teacher has the nerve to say this to me. She needed poverty and sensitivity training.
Yes, yes, it really was that powerful.
And I have never forgotten that my entire life. I mean, it's important. I commend you for doing it.
So we'll want to bring back, I think we can probably incorporate that into the holiday policy, because that's where we have other times that we're off. So that's the thinking. So even though I think we visited that not so long ago, I think we want to bring that back to do that, so.
I don't think we'll have time to do that before the May meeting though, so we'll probably want to do the May date
Yeah.
for this
That's
year.
something, yeah, because have we identified that date?
No, we wanted
Yeah.
to first bring it up here
Yeah.
to make sure that that was okay. And then we can look at timing, because May traditionally is pretty slow in the library. We're preparing for SRP and everybody's doing their life, so they're not, I'm sorry, summer reading program. But it's also, last minute celebrations with school and activities, sports, et cetera.
And it's gonna really help us too with these drills, like for example, the active shooter drill. Historically, we've done it at 8 AM before we open, and then you do that drill, and then as time has gone on, there's been more of these active shooting events. It's emotionally like upsetting and draining, and it's like, okay, we gotta open the library at 9 AM, and it just feels awkward. So that'll give us more time to discuss it and process it with staff, and we can really take our time with these drills and not rush through them in an hour. So.
I think George, Joe, and I were on the board, but we had to do active training, shooter training here as the library board.
Well, at school, we've been doing that for years now at school.
But we here at the board had to do it.
Yeah.
It's hard though
That
when
was a
you have
while
little
ago.
kids that you have to hustle to a corner and tell them not to be afraid.
And closing on a
It's
Thursday
terrible.
morning is not gonna affect high school finals or anything like that.
Yeah, totally.
So the staff who work evenings, for example, do you bring everyone in at one time, even if they're not scheduled to work?
We try,
or
yeah,
no?
yeah, we try, and we pay
That's
staff. I
great.
mean, it doesn't always work out because we have people that this is their second job or
Right.
whatnot, but we try.
Oh, that's great.
We're going to try to do a lot more recording of our training going forward. So we have our continuing ed committee just changed names, so they want to call themselves the Power Skills Committee. So, and now they just put out a call for Power Skills players. So people who will be a part of all of the little training videos.
Scenarios,
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
My brother's power naps. They're not just naps, they're power naps.
Those are both really good.
All right, so this sounds like something that we're gonna want on the agenda for the April meeting to approve the date in May that we will close for half a day after it's selected.
Yeah.
And then we'll also talk about when to add the policy to adjust holidays when we've got the date selected for fall.
Okay, yeah.
All right, anything else we wanna talk about agenda items for future meetings?
I wanted to ask about what happened with the phone call about us finishing the opening.
Oh, I'm still waiting to hear back
Oh,
from
you
the
are?
gentleman
Okay.
from the
All right,
College
fine.
Detention Office, yes. I will, as soon as I know Joe, I'll let you know.
I
You just wanna
I
get
wanna
it
be done.
I know, you just wanna get it done.
That's okay.
All right. Moving on to public forum. Is there any member of the public present that wants to speak? Unless they're invisible, I'm guessing no. Announcements. Any additional announcements other than what you see here?
I think, Ryan, you got this email, but Brushwood Center does I guess now it's gonna be a yearly coloring book over the summer. And this year, they're really trying to incentivize people to be out in nature and spend time outside. And our tree out here is gonna be
Yes.
featured in
That's
it.
right.
So I know they sent over like a
mock,
proof,
yeah.
yes, so that will be in the backpacks that presumably will also be getting like we did have in the past, so.
Yeah, we're
the
doing
goal
the
is-
back to school event. I don't think the date's been determined yet, but we're on it.
So the goal total for Brushwood to give out throughout Lake County is 1,500 backpacks.
Nice.
So-
Wow.
That's cool.
That's true.
Alright. Anything else? If not, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
A second. Body cash.
That's all right.
Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 7:50.